how's it going, friends? Welcome to VR Revelations once again. Welcome. Please make sure you give this video a like, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I've noticed that a lot of my viewers are not subscribed, so if you could, then you'll know when I drop more videos. Anyways, it is February the 10th, the year of our Lord 2023. So it looks like Bakhmut here is getting ready to collapse. Now, of course, I've been saying this for the past couple of weeks because it's the truth. Things have ramped up in the area, and as you can see here from this ABC News report, or rather, sorry, NBC News, they are pretty much trying to foreshadow what is going to happen here within the next couple of days, if not a week at the most, in my personal opinion. So you see here it says Ukraine's defiant city struggles to hold out as Russia pushes for a bloody victory. Now let's go to the map here. Now this is the live UA map. You can Google it. This is pro-Ukrainian, so they are very generous towards Ukraine in their reportings. But everything you see here along the front lines are attacks that are taking place right now by the Russians. All of this is artillery, guys. And as I reported yesterday, the Russians have launched a somewhat large offensive right up here near the Ziveresk area. So according to the reports that I analyzed yesterday, it looks like the Russians are trying to take Ziveresk, which will give them another access to Kramatorsk and Slavyansk, which would be the next cities in line here, and would essentially be the last strongholds for the Ukrainians in the Donbass area down here. And these are objectives of this Russian special military operation. So we know the Russians have said that they want to take control of all of this. And so Bakhmut has become a special focus because it is a stronghold for the Ukrainians. And so the idea here, or the theory, is that once Bakhmut collapses, then the Russians will be able to advance forward a lot quicker, since there won't be much resistance between Bakhmut and Kramatorsk. And so then they will gain a lot of ground, and then they will be able to launch their attacks on Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. But right now, as of yesterday, it looks like the Russians have launched a major offensive in this area here. There are also attacks or offensives taking place further up to the north up here near Kupiansk, as you can see here, guys. And it looks like the objective, according to those reports that I read yesterday, the Russians are trying to push the Ukrainian forces past the river down here, the Oksal River, I believe it is called. But now what we're going to be taking a read on, as we saw there by the NBC article, is, of course, Bakhmut. This is the whole... This is what people are talking about right now, and for good reason. As I said, this is a stronghold, and once this collapses, this is going to demoralize the Ukrainian army, and it's going to be a major victory for the Russians. Of course, they have been fighting here ferociously for many months. The Western media likes to attribute that to Russia's failures militarily, and to the Ukrainians' successful resistance, but that's not entirely true. Although the Ukrainians have been resisting here, that's because they've been focusing very stubbornly a lot of their forces in this city, and of course there are major casualties there. But Russia up until now wasn't really focusing all its attention on Bakhmut. Of course, we knew that first they wanted to take Soledar in order to allow themselves to attack Bakhmut from the north. And Soledar itself was another stronghold of Ukrainian resistance. Of course, this is a salt mine city, and the West tried to downplay Russia's takeover of this town for as much as they could. But as we see now, of course, the Russians are way past Soledar. They are now almost near Vasilivka over here, as we see to the west. And we can clearly see here, guys, as I like to say, you don't have to be a military expert or really know what you're talking about to understand that if you're in the Ukrainian army inside of this city, Bakhmut, in this pocket with Russian forces all around you here, you're probably going to get trapped unless you get out of there soon. But what the Russians are doing here is that they're actually trying to cut off the escape route here, and take over the city further west of Bakhmut, which is right down here, Chaziz Yar. And so they are getting pretty close there. We see that artillery strikes are landing there. And before we actually read the NBC article, I actually want to go over to Twitter because there are a lot of Twitter handles reporting on the situation. Of course, you can't fully base your analysis on these accounts, but they've been fairly accurate on what all these mainstream media sources end up reporting later on. So as you can see here, this account here, Trollstoy, has 50,000 followers. Of course, it's very pro-Russian, but look at this report here. Foreign mercenaries are being withdrawn from Bakhmut on an emergency basis. The city is being prepared for surrender. Residents of Chaziz Yar also report that foreign mercenaries are being evacuated for the second day in vehicles in the direction of Konstantinovka and Kramatorsk. Locals also noted helicopters flying twice a day at low altitudes. This mode of transport is used to evacuate important foreign specialists and wounded mercenaries. Mobilized Ukrainians are sent to compensate for the departed foreigners. So again, it's no surprise that, of course, to anybody that has been following this war, that there are foreign mercenaries from around the world fighting in Bakhmut, along with the Ukrainian forces. As I imagine, there's also foreign mercenaries fighting along with the Russian forces. And so it seems that the writing is on the wall. So according to that tweet there by that account, the mercenaries know that Bakhmut is about to fall, so they are pulling out. And as they pull out, like I said, they are going back towards Chaziz Yar down here. And the citizens there, or the few people that are left in that town, because again, it is being struck by artillery, are reporting that they're seeing vehicles and these planes carrying these mercenaries out of the city. So what does that tell you? That Bakhmut is about to fall. But surprisingly, we saw that Ukraine is replacing those mercenaries with more Ukrainian forces and pretty much throwing them into this meat grinder to their deaths. So they're doubling down, and this is due to Zelensky's stubbornness, because a few weeks ago, the United States was actually advising Zelensky to pull his forces out of Bakhmut and to save them for a later battle or for a later offensive. And, Zelensky, I guess, decided that he was in too deep, that they had already made a big deal about Bakhmut, so he doubled down and just recently, a couple of days ago, said that they were going to fight in Bakhmut, that they were not going to give in, and that Bakhmut was a fortress, an impenetrable fortress, and that the Russians would not take it. And so again, this type of bravado or pride oftentimes comes right before the collapse of that certain area that they are fighting for. And again, guys, it's pretty obvious here that Bakhmut is finished. All we need here is for the Russians to collapse a little bit more here, and they will have sealed Bakhmut in. And again, this major offensive push started just yesterday. So all this activity you see here wasn't reported yesterday if you go take a look at that video. But just this morning, actually, Russia launched a wave of missile attacks all over Ukraine, as you can see here by this BBC article, Ukraine War. Russia again fires missiles over Moldova in latest strikes. So it says Russia's latest aerial attack on Ukraine saw missiles cross Moldovan airspace, Ukrainian and Moldovan officials have said. Kyiv's top general said missiles also flew above Romania, a claim denied by Romania, but later repeated by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. So Zelensky's desperately trying to get other countries involved because he knows his government is suffering loss after loss. Mr. Zelensky said the missiles represented a challenge to NATO, of which Romania is a member country. A Russian government spokesperson deflected questions about the incident. So, yeah, guys, a new wave of missiles was launched this morning, coinciding with this large offensive that is taking place around the Zveresk area, as you can see all of this. So this does seem to, verify the reports that were being rumored here for the last couple of weeks of a major offensive. However, a lot of people were expecting an attack on the capital at Kyiv. Of course, that is still a possibility, guys. They don't necessarily have to launch this major attack at the same time from different axes or points. As you can see here, they are definitely moving forward here. And yeah, just look at all this, guys. This is incredible, huh? And, there was reports a couple of weeks ago that Russia was running out of artillery, which is not true. The Russians have plenty of artillery. I would say they have enough to fight a war for years to come. But like I said, I don't think Russia is going to want to drag this conflict out. So I think they are going to go for a death blow here pretty soon. And this could be the beginning of that, guys. And again, I am expecting Bakhmut to fall pretty soon here. So let's go ahead and jump into this NBC article. It says the Kremlin's troops may finally be close to seizing control of the battered eastern city as they threaten a major offensive across the war's front lines. Bakhmut, Ukraine, surrounded on three sides, this eastern Ukrainian city has held out for months in bloody defiance against invading forces. Russian shells pounding day and night against streets coated with snow and rubble. But as the Kremlin's troops advance here and threaten a major offensive across the war's front lines, gunfire could be heard on a recent visit while the few thousand remaining locals, sheltered in basements, stubbornly refusing to leave what remains of their homes. Now, a lot of these people that aren't leaving, as other reports have reported on this, are actually people that have a positive attitude towards Russia. These are actually people that are staying there with the hope of being liberated by the Russian army. So that's one thing they don't actually mention here. Bakhmut holds is a patriotic battle cry heard across the country. Not going to hold for much longer. Cementing the city as a symbol of national resistance. Again, Zelensky has played a big part in this as, making the city a symbol of national resistance. So if it's a symbol of national resistance, once it falls here in the next couple of days, just imagine what that's going to do to the morale of the Russian army and the people. And it still holds for now, says NBC. Death is not an option. The long-awaited spring offensive from Russia's military is expected in the coming weeks. Some have said it already started with this major push that we're seeing now. If it hasn't already begun, there you have it. Analysts have warned that Moscow's forces pushing for a high-profile victory to coincide with February 24th anniversary of the invasion could finally be on the brink of taking the city. The people of Bakhmut are all too familiar with the most intense fighting of the war, with many living in shelters for as long as 6 months. Their resolve and determination holds firm. Olena Molchanova, 40, is one of 3 doctors caring for the few thousand people who stayed behind from an estimated pre-war population of around 80,000 people. She lives with her husband in the basement under her clinic, where she works 7 days a week from morning to evening. Their 18-year-old daughter has fled to the relatively safe capital of Kyiv. Now, it would make sense that, everybody would leave Bakhmut right now, right, under the current danger that they find themselves in there. But again, why haven't some of these people left? Well, a lot of these people are people that are waiting for the Russian forces to take over so that then they can be protected under the Russian Federation, guys. That's one thing they like to leave out. A lot of these people here are pro-Russian, right? They don't want to be ruled over by Ukrainians, and so that they're staying behind there, as has been the case in other cities, so that when the Russian forces arrive, then they can be under their protection. Excuse my throat, guys. But anyways, there you have it, guys. So things are ramping up here. Again, if the reports are accurate here from this Twitter account, then it seems that pretty much all these foreign mercenaries have given up on Bakhmut. But unfortunately for Ukrainian forces, I would say their dictator Zelensky is throwing them to certain death here, because this is a hopeless situation, guys. What do you think you're going to do here, right? I mean, what do you think? What do you think the strategy is for Ukraine here? Do you think they're really gonna break into all this territory and make some sort of dash towards the capital or something? No, they're just holding on for dear life right here. And while at the same time they're literally being swallowed up by this monstrous offensive that is enveloping Bakhmut. And the only reason they're staying there is literally because Zelensky is forcing them to fight on, even though it's hopeless, even though the United States told him weeks ago that it was hopeless and to pull out his forces to save them. He's pulling a stubborn move here that is going to cost him dearly, and his forces will be demoralized, and his forces will turn on him, and so will his generals, and so will the people. Mark my words, guys. And so, again, major offensive here. I'll keep a close eye on Bakhmut here in the next couple of hours and days, guys, as we head into the weekend here. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for more developments, since the Russians are making this major push right now in this whole area here. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Again, please give this video a like and make sure you subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, the truth is stranger than fiction. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.